was your favourite movie or video game soundtrack?
Soundtrack?
Mm-hmm.
Oh my God. Can I be really generic and say, like, I thought you were just going to ask movie then, but this also kind of works. Like, you know, Interstellar?
Oh, yeah.
I think it's called Cornfield Chase.
Yeah.
And it's a sound that's like blown up on social media over the last year. But I do actually really like that piece of music. And I also really like that film as well. So I'm going to go with that.
Yeah, I feel like I always, like, the pretentious part of me always judges people that don't like Interstellar. Like, it doesn't make sense.
It's such a good film.
Yeah.
It's so good. It's just like, I don't know, I do like my sci-fi. I'm a bit of a space nerd. And so obviously that one is just like, Jesus Christ, it is insane, that film. So yeah, I really, really like it. Yeah,
I remember I've never felt goosebumps like it when with the docking scene when they're spinning round and the music is just like so, how would you describe it? Like,
I think it's very effective. The sounds that they chose for that movie like really helped to convey the emotions and stuff. Like, it was ridiculous.
Yeah.
Very good job.
Yeah, very like English teacher syndrome, but it did very much like there's a moment, I'm sure I've referenced this in the podcast where I talked to someone before, but at the end of the movie, where the music so brilliantly like ties in with the speech, you know, so someone will ask a question and the music changes with the question and the answer and everything, and it's just so like,
I'm gonna have to go back and like actually analyze it, because I always just I don't know, get absorbed in it. I don't do much analysis, but yeah, that's interesting. I'll have to go back.
Yeah, 6-hour YouTube video on that one. That'd be
okay now.
you could spend forever on that. Yeah, I was saying I like all the sort of moods that Hans Zimmer creates, rather than like you know, I couldn't tell you the melody necessarily, but I could definitely describe the
emotion that comes with whatever scene. Yeah, I would agree completely. It's very like subconscious and subtle, and I think that's absolutely genius. You don't even realize what it's doing to you. Like me, I haven't analyzed it, I just know how that film makes me feel. So he's done a very good job.
Yeah, I think that's something with I'd be interested to hear if this ties in at all with like your music, actually, to be fair. When you're writing stuff, I don't know about you, but for example, if you were to take that Interstellar track, I'm pretty sure it's in D minor, or it doesn't matter what key it's in really, does it? But it's a simple melodic movement. And for me, if I were to try and, if you gave me the melody and told me to do something original with that, like a 3-note fundamental melody, I'd be like, I have no idea how to make that sound like me, rather than just like a minor scale or like a whatever. So it's amazing. I don't know how you deal with that, making simple things your own. How do you kind of, or do you, is that something you struggle with? Because I certainly do.
Yeah, I would say so. And it's very easy for things to sound terrible. Like if they're, I don't know, like it's hard sometimes to make simple things sound interesting, I think is, but maybe the trick is to not overthink it. And sometimes less is more. Actually, most of the time, less is more. And I mean, Dare to, which just came out. That's three notes really. Da, da, da. So it's not complicated, and I don't know how that riff kind of like it. That song wrote itself basically, but it is more on the simpler side of things that I've written, and it's one of my favorite things. So maybe it's I don't know, not ever putting yourself in a box and just like not overthinking it as well, perhaps. But I don't know.
Yeah, I know that I'm a chronic overwriter for sure. Like, definitely. Same. I mean, like if you look, you know, I know you've done a lot of stuff with like the Polyphia songs and that, and I'm not calling that overwriting, but it's very much, it's busy to say the least.
Yeah.
You know?
And definitely. There's a lot to it. And I would say, like, I love that style of music and stuff, but there's also something really beautiful about the things that have a lot of space in them. And as I'm getting older, I make myself sound really old there. I'm almost 24, but like I've been playing music a long time, so I feel mature in my musical age, if you like. But I still have a lot to learn. But still, like I'm finding it more so appealing to have the more simple things than to overcomplicate it. So yeah.
Yeah, I feel like a lot of the thing that's I have one little like bugbear with certain musicians where, don't worry, this isn't directed at you. I realise I started that rather
That's okay.
threateningly. But when quite a lot of musicians they start with metal, you know, or they kind of get into metal in like the teenage years, and then there's this definite thing, again, I can't remember who I was talking to about this, where some musicians just stay in metal because they just love it and they keep doing metal, whatever. And then others will kind of move away, they gravitate towards other things. Some do that just fine and they still love metal and whatever. And then some I've noticed will go, oh yeah, I had my metal phase and well, I'm over that now. I'm well above that. And I always just think like, you know, it doesn't mean it's better just because you've moved past it, you know, or it doesn't mean other music's necessarily better just because you've personally sort of moved past it. Because obviously, yeah, there's a bit of craziness and a bit of sort of, I don't know how to describe it, something to metal that I guess some people maybe feel like they grow out of, and then as such almost look down on it.
Well, it's just the whole, it's not a phase, mom, isn't it? It's like that whole thing. But I don't look down on it at all. I think my thing, like people, the response to us has been quite interesting because people are like, I was expecting metal, like what the fuck is this? And I'm like, look, man, hey. I had an article with Guitar World come out like yesterday, and I read it, obviously I skimmed over it, and I said a bit about basically how like initially in the beginning of BXRRELL, I was trying to write to my audience in the sense that I was like, I want to write what I think they would like to hear, which was like metal, and it was shit. Like everything I wrote was terrible because it was like forced. And then the minute I stopped trying so hard, I actually wrote stuff that I enjoyed, and it wasn't metal. And so I was like, okay, this is clearly just not where I'm supposed to be then. So don't put yourself in a box and don't write for anyone else other than yourself, sort of thing. So, but I don't look down. I fucking love metal. It's like one of my favorite genres. So you catch me listening to Billie Eilish in 1 second, and then like periphery in the next. Like I don't really stick to a genre anymore. And I used to be very much so metal or die. Like I don't care for anything else unless it's metal or rock. And I just think that's foolish to have that mindset, because there's so much you can learn from other genres as well. You're silly if you lock yourself in, because I don't know, music is so creative and big. Like there are so many things you can learn from other genres, and you should explore that because you could widen your skill set. So it's closed-minded to not embrace the other genres. So yeah, I don't hate any genre. I like it all.
Yeah, I just hate musical theatre. That's the only thing I will say I actively just. Huh?
The only thing I enjoyed, I liked Rock of Ages.
I don't even know what that is. This is how detached I am.
It's like a musical movie kind of, but it's very like 80s inspired, like rock, and I did enjoy that. But I know a musical theatre itself, it can be a bit intense sometimes, I think. I
always find, especially with musicals, I always just think like, I'd rather you just said the line, you know, like, you know, I don't know, it never works for me.
They want to be sassy, they want to be jazzy. I don't know. I think it's an acquired taste, isn't it? Like it's not for everyone.
Yeah.
My dad, for a fact, I feel like he can't stand it. Actually, he's like, oh my God, shut up. Like, just like you say the thing that you're trying to say. You don't have to sing it.
Yeah. I just feel like it's a combination that in theory, music and movie and theatre should work in that way. But to me, it just doesn't. It's like how tea and coffee. I'd love if they made a really nice drink.
Oh God, but you cannot.
But you would never. That's how I kind of. That's what I never thought I'd come out with that analogy. But
I understand completely. There are different areas that can be admired but not mixed. Yeah. That's a few more haters for the podcast. There we go. That's okay.
Yeah.
Each to their own. You're allowed an opinion.
Yeah. With your sort of bringing the music out, because I know. Last time we spoke, you were kind of talking about it and how you sounded quite almost impatient to be like getting on with this stuff. Since we spoke, like, what would you say in terms of the whole process of right from beginning to end? What were the kind of some of the unexpected things or things that happened that maybe took you by surprise? along the way?
That's a really hard question. I don't really know yet because it's still, to me, it's so early on in the journey. Maybe how easy some things were and how hard some other things were in regards to the songwriting side of things. Like I said, like Dare to wrote it itself, but then other songs that we've written, because we've got some, we've got some prepared. They're ready. Some of them we really had to wrestle with for a long time there before they got to their finished stage. Like I'm talking like 30 versions of a song. Like, oh my God. Whereas Dare to was pretty much like 3 versions and then it was kind of done and ready for the studio. The others, some of them really did take a long time. So maybe that's because I was never so new to me. I had never really done that process before, so I think it was surprising to learn that sometimes songwriting is actually fucking so hard. Like it's really hard, and you want to write a good song and something that really kind of like sees its potential like come to life. So yeah, there were many songs, like even a couple that we went to studio with where I was like, I still don't like it, something's not right about it, and then they finally went through our producer and you know, proper guitars laid down, and then I was like, oh, it's complete now it makes sense. But sometimes it's I don't know, it's a very interesting process. I would say that's probably the most surprising thing at this point.
Yeah, I remember the first time going into the studio with the producer is like, oh, I know nothing. Like,
yeah. Oh my God, like watching their brains tick away and whiz round logic and everything like that, and just knowing what it needs and just having a fresh pair of ears on it is just like, whoa. I love it, that part of it. Like I love coming up with the initial ideas and I love the whole process that is involved, but to me, like once you hear your song actually like kind of come together and then you get a more true picture of it in its finished stage, I'm just like, oh, thank God, because then for me it's like it comes full circle. And I'm a type of person, like I've got OCD, and like I like the things I like for example, I'll listen to the same song on repeat maybe 50 times in a row. I'll watch the same films over and over again. Like I love repetition. I like to know how things are going to go. So that weird unknowingness of songwriting sometimes when you have a demo and then you're like, what the fuck is it going to sound like once it's been through the studio? It doesn't make me uncomfortable, but it does make me nervy, makes me anxious and excited, but I'm just a bit like, ooh. So when I finally know how things are when they're complete, I'm like, oh my God, like I can rest now. Fucking hell. So yeah, I like to see it come to life. Yeah,
I the whole process is it's definitely stressful, especially when you know you're like, oh, I know there's something good in here, but you don't always know what form that
you can't put your finger on it always, and it's like we're working on another one at the moment, and I've been wrestling with it for a few months now. Like this one chorus, I'm like, no, it's not right yet. And I've probably rewrote it about, I don't know, 10 times. And then we've actually ended up going back to like the first one and simplifying it. And I was like, oh my God. But you have to do these things. You have to explore every avenue before it gets to the stage where you're like, at least I know now, like that this is what I'm happiest with, kind of thing. But oh my God, like you could just develop a song forever. Like you could overwrite it like again and again and again. I think learning to know when it's the right time to call it is like a skill in itself, and I don't know if I have that yet, because I will just write forever.
Yeah, I know there's something I'm quite proud of at the moment, like a little demo, and the chorusy part and like the sort of the final chorus are these big like anthemic sort of rock metal chorus things, and then but the thing that created them was this like ridiculously intricate finger style part, and there was at least 20, like you were saying, 20-30 revisions where like a couple notes change or the rhythm changes.
Oh my God, yeah.
And then I put the whole song together, and that was like the verse, and then I listened back and the worst part of the song was that bit. I was like,
yeah,
wow.
The bit you'd like overthought. Yeah.
Yeah.
It's always the way. There's something beautiful about things when they're simple, and also when they're in their most like raw form, like the very first demos of whatever song. There's something about it. I have to go back and see if I've got any like really early like voice memos of me singing Dare to or something, It was the vocal melody first, but yeah, luckily with that one, that was really, I didn't overwrite it. I was like, oh, all of that makes sense, done. Like for some reason it was just quite easy, that one. Not the other ones though.
Yeah, the that whole process I think is so you can tell, I think, nowadays. It's kind of sad as well, because I think, obviously, being in the studio is so expensive, you know, especially for a band without a label or anything. And there are a lot of bands out there, I think, that skip the pre-production side and just go straight into, here's what we've got, like, let's make this sound nice, and that's it. Like, that's the song. And that second ear, even if it's not from a producer, even if it's just from like other musicians that whose opinion you value, I think is super important. I think it's sad because obviously it costs money to go into the studio and essentially not be like making the song, if you know what I mean. So I don't know if we're going to end up with more and more. The self-produced band thing is great in some ways, because like, cool, you can get a song out there without all these loopholes in the way, without these hurdles in the way. But then maybe you miss out on that key thing that, you know, that like Bob Rock in the Black Album for Metallica or whatever, you miss that. You know, if Metallica hadn't had him, it's like, would that album have you seen the video of him with Kirk Hammett?
No.
Oh, that's the best thing. I've never seen anyone just shit on Metallica like in front of them. Kind of thing. Well, because he produced the story, like how he sort of produced the album, and like so much of the stuff I think is attributed to him as like what made that album really great. Obviously Metallica is the band, but if you watch him basically just having a go at Kirk for not basically writing a brilliant solo for, I think it's for The Unforgiven, and you hear the solo happening over the course of the thing, and like Kirk's going, oh, my tone's not right, and the first thing he says is like, you know, every guitarist that hasn't done their homework tells me that the tone is wrong. Like he's just going straight in on Kirk.
Gives it to him very raw and dry, like
So
it's important though, like it's hard though, isn't it? Because songwriting is a fragile thing, and it's very easy to like get offended or protective over what you've done. But I've learned to not be like that at all. Like, let that go, because the song is going to change 30 times before it gets to its finished place. And there's beauty in that process as well. Like, there's one song that we'll be releasing. I won't say the name of it yet, but I actually despised this song because it was never right, and it was quite it's quite like, I don't know really how to describe it. It was a real struggle for me, and it was like uncomfortable zone for me, like out of my comfort zone basically, and nothing like I'd done before. And I just couldn't. I just was so close to giving up on it, and Sped kept fighting to keep it. And we kind of made it his baby in a sense. He became very much so like the sole director on that one, and he's like, try this, try XYZ, like when we were still in demo stage. And I was like, okay. And then even, you know, we finally got to studio level, and then I was like, oh, I actually do like this song like a lot. Whereas before I'd avoid listening to the demo, and now it's the one that I play the most. And we actually got through our like final mixes for it, and I cried my eyes out when I heard the first chorus come in, because I was like, obviously like I heard the demo before it was mixed, but there's something about it, just it smashed into me, and I was just like not prepared for it, and I just sobbed like I was like, and then I was like, oh, we've been working so hard, and it all suddenly, all of this like emotion just like overwhelmed me, because I was like, oh, we've been working on this for ages, and now it finally sounds like this, and like this is all I ever wanted, kind of thing. And it was very interesting. It's not often that I like happy cry. Like I've happy cried. The first time I happy cried was when I got endorsed by PRS, and the second time was that. So I'm like, yeah, I don't know. It's just very special. It was really, really special. So yeah, this song that I once hated made me cry. So it's nice. I was like, okay, I must be happy with it now if it made me happy cry. So
yeah. I can definitely relate to that. Like I remember sort of the very first single I did with my old band. It was such a like painstaking process again, because we just weren't ready. And then sitting in front of the producer, kind of looking at me, going, "Oh, it's done." And like looking like, "Oh, so I can like hear it now." Because I could hear bits, you know, I could hear him sorting stuff out. So then, yeah, just sitting down and being like, that is a bit of a wave, isn't it? Like,
it certainly is.
I know
it's powerful.
Yeah, and I know you were talking about again last time that sort of finding yourself, or I think you sort of half jokingly talked about having sort of an identity crisis, to this point.
Yeah.
How do you feel like because obviously I know you said this is kind of the goal really than the kind of a lot of the more YouTube or like content based kind of stuff. I know you said that the writing is your passion. How do you feel like I know my identity is very tied to my creative side musically. How do you feel like that kind of relationship has moved forward since we spoke?
I feel like I'm no longer having an identity crisis anymore. Hallelujah, because that was a really tough 4 years of my life where I was like, or more than that, so maybe even 5-6 years, because I think I touched on it. Like I was kind of pretending to be someone for a good 3 years, and then we got thrust into the pandemic and left to my own devices whilst being this YouTuber person, and then also writing behind closed doors and finding out who this side of me is, and now it's all kind of come together, and I feel such great relief. I think identity crisis, maybe that wasn't the right word to use. I think it was actually, but more so relating to the feeling of just being completely lost. And now I feel like I have a home base again, and I've got a family. I know where I am, I know what I'm doing, and I'm not just floating around anymore. So I've got a much stronger sense of identity and what my purpose is. It's very, I don't know, it's a big relief, and also to have music out again for myself. Spending a lot of time playing covers and stuff, it's hard when you're pretending to be someone else, but you're putting yourself in other people's and artists' shoes all the time. I think it burns you out in a sense, but then making this step and being an original artist again is sorted out a lot of issues for me. It's also brought up a lot of issues, but for the most part, I'm now oh, it all makes sense again. So thank God for that, because it wasn't really a pleasant feeling to just be floating around there unsure of what the fuck I'm doing.
Yeah.
Pretty uneasy time.
Yeah, I feel like a lot of that, a lot of figuring that out for me, and probably for a lot of people, has to sort of come from within, as corny as that sounds. It's kind of I know I could blame the not doing X, Y, and Z on why maybe I don't feel my sort of I don't know, feel like I'm locked in with my identity, who I want to be. But sometimes I feel like a lot of it comes from sort of being at peace with a lot of stuff. Do you feel like that? How sort of close? It's sort of a difficult question to phrase really, but how closely do you feel like that, or how much do you feel the getting the music out has helped you develop your identity versus how much that's just come from your own kind of natural growth? Does that make sense? I was trying to phrase it as best I could.
No, I think I understand, because if I kind of respond with this, people have said to me, friends and family have been don't put all of your money on this project being the thing to bring you back to yourself. And I was I just have a strong feeling that it will help though. And it has so far, and I think it'll only continue to kind of cement that feeling more, hopefully. Because the thing is, I'm not pretending to be anyone. This is me. The songs that I'm singing, the meanings behind my songs, everything, it's me. What you see is what you get. That is me. So I think it's, don't know, it's kind of all, like I said before, kind of come together, but a lot of it has kind of come from within as well. But it's kind of this, I couldn't really kind of become the person that I wanted to be without this, because this is such a big part of me. Being an original artist, writing songs and playing live and being in a band, that is a fucking huge part of me. And it always will be. So without that, I felt like half of myself was missing, and I didn't even know who I was anymore. I'd often look in the mirror and be like, I don't even recognize this person. Who is that? I have no idea. And and going back and watching videos of myself like on social media, like even just a year ago, and just being like, oh my God, who is that? Like, I just don't recognize her. I don't know who she is. It's really like quite a strange feeling. So yeah, I'm happy to be in a more certain place, because feeling that way is, yeah, it's a bit tricky, I think.
That's they kind of a sort of phrase I heard recently is like, a big part of overcoming your self-doubt is just having a massive pile of proof that you are who you say you are, kind of thing. And that again kind of goes contrary to almost the question I asked a second ago, which kind of agrees with what you were saying, which is, you know, like, yes, maybe, I guess on the one hand you need to look within to find that stuff. On the other hand, sometimes you just need a massive pile of evidence that you've done what you...
I think so.
It's a tricky balance. What's kind of been some of the challenges of having... obviously placing such importance on this thing? There must be a lot of expectation along the way, on yourself, you know, and on others, I guess, in the band as well, you know, because if that's the main goal, if you like, how do you deal with the kind of expectation you put on yourself to, I guess, find success of these things?
Yeah, I mean, ultimately I don't know, because you would kind of think, I don't know, it's very strange, because you would think that, like, as a person who kind of does what I do, like social media, building following and numbers and statistics and all that kind of thing, you think that I'd put like really a lot of pressure on, like, oh my God, making it, so to speak. And although, like, absolutely, my goal is to be able to just do this for the rest of my life, and for that to be the project that kind of allows me to do that. Right now, it's not like, I obviously want to be successful and I want the best for this project, but I'm almost being a bit selfish in the sense that I'm like just having it as my therapy outlet, really, like saying what I need to say in these songs and expressing emotions and all that kind of thing is actually the priority for me right now, is kind of like, is to just heal a bit, like, and to understand myself more and figure things out a little bit, because, like, I don't know, I think the minute that you put yourself in the industry just to make money, or I don't know, like, you're not in it for the right reasons. You should never ever be in music to make money, because you might be met with disappointment. Like, without sounding really like a downer, like, that's probably more often than not the outcome, because a lot of things, it's like a recipe, like it has to be just right for it to work. And if you put so much pressure on that, I feel like it stifles the creative side of it, and your songs won't be very good as a reflection of that. You won't be very happy. Like, I just don't think it's the right approach. So I'm just gonna go along, and we're gonna go along. We're gonna try our hardest. Like, I'm ready to work as hard as I've ever worked for this to become like my life. I want to get even better at writing songs. Like, I just want to learn a lot. This is a new sort of territory for me. But I'm just like here to enjoy it and to kind of like absorb every second of it and try to be as present as I possibly can, more so than to just like, make money or something, you know? At the end of the day, it should be about the music, right? So that's kind of what I'm putting my focus into. And I think that's it just feels like the right way.
Yeah, I think it's a obviously the whole money side of things is glorified in every industry and every kind of pursuit. I had a sort of an example of that pop up in my own life, actually. That, I mean, I won't go into it, but like there was someone that I was kind of who I know's got quite a lot of money, who obviously wasn't happy with a certain situation. I was like, you got a lot of money, like, you know, and obviously wasn't it obviously wasn't doing them any favors then and there, you know. I think for me, the only thing that when it comes to pursuing money is I just want to have that income from music, so that I don't have to go and do other basically bullshit that I don't want to do. To take time away. That's my financial pursuit in that sense when it comes to music. I mean, I'd love to have a really nice car and all that. Like,
you know, I mean, the dream really, like, it would be so that this band would be self-funding and allow me to go off and just write and really like nurture that side of myself, without pressure to have to, find other ways to like pay my rent or whatever. Do you know what I mean? Like you say, it'd be lovely to have a nice house and a big car and whatnot, but like I think that, yeah, the most important thing to me would just be like I could just do this and enjoy what I do without the pressure of being like, oh my God, I can't eat this week because I haven't made enough money from this. So that would be amazing if it was enough, like if it turned over enough so that I could go and like write for weeks at a time and just be left alone, kind of thing, just to concentrate and work on that. But yeah, we'll see.
Yeah.
Manifestation is a powerful thing, right?
Yeah. Well, I mean, on my morning run, I go past a Ferrari every day, and I'm like,
oh,
motherfucker! Like it's just parked on. It's parked in like, yeah, it's like parked in a really. I'm like, I don't know. This sounds really, but it's just parked outside like a really normal house, and I'm like, what are you doing? Like,
yeah, what's your deal?
I'm like, that Ferrari definitely costs about half the price of that house, so I don't know what's going on there. I'm not going to knock on the door. I don't trust it. But yeah, I'm like, that's. Yeah, actually, I think if I had all the money in the world, the second amp down in your PRS stack, is that an Archon?
Yeah.
Oh, yeah. Okay, well that'd be one. I had one of the. I had the old version, the one with like the metallic front, right. The 50 watt one, and that was just one of my favorite things in the world. So, if I had all the money in the world, that would probably be one of the first. I mean, I know as expenses go, Ferrari's quite a lot higher up the list, but still, I'd very quickly nab one of them.
Oh yeah, that first stop PRS.
Yeah, it's like my guitar shop's like 10 minutes away, so I'd just be like, I guess fair. That's where I'm going.
That's all right. Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, obviously, I'd buy the top shelf, this, that, and the other. But with your sort of talking about what you've done to this point, and then moving into, the challenges, kind of moving into a sort of a different musical world, if you like. What's it been like getting your sort of audience to sort of shift over to the music? Has that been, where does that rank in sort of how difficult you thought it would be versus what it actually turned out to be?
It's a bit too kind of early to say. Yeah, it's a little bit too early to kind of say. The immediate response has been overwhelmingly wonderful. Obviously, you're never going to be able to please everyone, and you have to really try hard not to. I don't know. There are people, obviously, who follow my covers and my playing that way, who heard it and were like, don't like this. And I'm like, that's okay, though. Like, that's all right. I'm not expecting everyone to just love it. But at the same time, if they were to leave comments, which some of them did, like very few, but to be like, you should just continue doing covers and not do this. I'm like, I may as well just fucking give up then, because this isn't why I'm here. I'm not just here to be your jukebox to play regurgitated songs from other artists. Like, I'd rather just not bother, to be honest. Like, I need this original outlet, so it's your choice whether you like it or not. Like, but I don't think it's fair to try and stop someone from doing that. You don't have to listen to it, but for the majority, like, very overwhelmingly positive. A lot of people asking for shows and more songs, and I'm just like, oh my God, like, now is the time we have to work harder and faster than ever, really, to get the next songs out, get a set together and start playing. And we're working hard to kind of like make those plans come to life. The main thing is just like, it's always going to be the thing, but like organizing with other people. So getting music videos filmed, like, that takes time, and you're having to put a team together. Everybody needs to be free. Like, it's it ends up taking a whole lot of time. So we need to find a very effective and efficient way of being able to do this on a very like realistic and steady timescale, if you like. But yeah, I'm just excited, like, because we it's not just like it's like one thing. Like, I released Tranquility, which is my one and only personal single, like in 2020, back end of 2020, and I released that, and I was like, I'll leave that there, and just like kind of like kind of pushed it to the back of my mind a little bit. Whereas this, I'm like, oh no, there will be stuff like continually coming. Like this is a rolling project now, kind of thing. It wasn't just like one and done. Like this is going to be a thing. So yeah, it's just like keeping up with that and playing some shows would be amazing.
Yeah, well, now you get to sort of go to all the grotty venues and do that whole thing.
Yeah, it's been a little while since I've done that. I mean, truth be told, it's going to be 4 years this summer since I last played a show, so I'm like a bit nervous again because I don't know. It's a different. I've spent a lot of time on my own in this room playing just to a camera. And I know in my heart, I'm like, I've always preferred to be on stage. Like that's where I come alive and that's where I have the most fun. I just have to remind myself of that because I am excited, but I'm also very nervous about it. And this time is different because I'm fronting it. So not only do I have to like sing and play, that's kind of okay. Like I can rehearse that and I'll be ready for that. But it's the talking in between songs and stuff where I'm like, oh my God, like I have to learn how to do like to talk to people, like, which some people might think is funny because I talk to a camera all the time, but it's not quite the same thing when you're like when they're right there in front of you. So I am up for the challenge and I'm very excited for it.
Yeah, I can resonate with. I think it's been about 2 years for me since I was last on stage. Yeah, so that feels like it. Even that feels like quite a while. It would have been. I think it's 2 years, something like that. So it's definitely like a kind of an art in itself, isn't it? Like you say, talking to people, it's not quite the same as looking at a screen. I think it's different challenges maybe, but with your kind of when it comes to actually being in working with a band, what have you kind of learned about yourself from working with others in that sense? Because obviously all the stuff you're putting out, your own content, very much you can direct in your own way. You can choose what you want to do, how you want to put it together. Obviously with a band, you've got to think about like, how's it going to work in this dynamic? Yeah,
I mean, me and Sped in particular came from previous bands, like not immediately, obviously, but like we'd been in those kind of scenarios before. And I think I know self-explanatory. We both learned a lot from those experiences on what we did, what we didn't like. It's all very collaborative, and it goes back and forth a bunch of times. But for the most part, everybody's always really supportive, and it's exactly the kind of workflow that I need to do my best. Like, and it's no hard feelings ever. Like, no one has an ego. Like, if something is not bad, but if something could be better, like we're gonna say, like that's how you get furthest and have, like, I don't know, upfront communication is so important, I feel like. So that's our approach.
Yeah, I know nowadays, I was saying with someone else that I think nowadays a lot of people are afraid of upfront communication, again, because we're so used to like this kind of thing. Well, I mean, this is a bit closer, right? But like
text chat.
Yeah, you don't, in some ways it's, you get used to maybe confronting people over text, but there's nothing, you're not met with anything really then.
I have a really non-confrontational personality. I don't like arguing. Anything and everything makes me so uncomfortable and awkward. Like I'm quite an awkward person actually. Like, oh my God, like put it this way, like, as someone with a lot of anxiety and kind of like issues in that kind of ballpark, I couldn't even answer the phone until I was like maybe 18, and that's only because I really had to, and like couldn't go into a shop and ask for something. Like no social skills, but it was all just too much for me. Something I've had to kind of learn and get better at. But yeah, I'm not a confrontational person at all. But you know what? I think the most important thing is like the approach. So if you're like, don't like this, because we will, like, we'll go back and forth, and maybe I'll send a demo over to Sped and then he'll do something and I'm like, oh, that wasn't like quite the right direction that I was feeling for this song. We'll talk about it, but it's the approach. It's not just being like, I think a lot of musicians, as we are sometimes, are a bit hot-headed and are very quick to be like, this is terrible, like this is shit, blah, blah, blah. And it's just like, oh, hold on a second, like this is a really fragile thing, like songwriting, like you're literally pouring your heart into something. It's all very personal. So, and also incorrect, like it can be whatever it wants to be. There's no right or wrong way of doing music, so it's never bad or good, really. Like it's all down to personal opinion, technically. So if you're just like, oh, this is cool, but like I was more thinking this, like what do you feel about this? Like it's really about compromise and communication, but it's the way in which you do it is the most important thing. And just approaching it with not caution but care, and also like reflecting the vulnerability maybe from the person whose idea it was, if you don't like it or something like that. It's kind of approaching it in a nice and respectful way. And I think that's the thing that's so different for me this time, is like I've never been in a group like this before, in the sense that I've never been so close to my band, in that like we talk all day every day, we know each other like inside out, even though we don't even live near each other. It's just because we spent so much time talking and working together. And I think you learn how everybody works and how everybody ticks, and what they'll receive well and maybe what they'll be a little bit more apprehensive about. There's never been anything like that though. It's been really, really simple, and everyone is so easy to work with, and I love them. So yeah, it's just been such a pleasure so far, to work with such supportive and like-minded, and I don't know, just lovely people. They're just the nicest. So yeah, it's good.
Do you feel like you're more kind of empathetic now, or a better communicator maybe from your time working with them?
Oh yeah, 100%. I mean, I think you learn stuff about each other all the time with every experience that you encounter together, but it's always met with open arms from anybody. Anyone's got something to say, like, well, I'm gonna hear it, like you know what I mean. So no one ever has to feel like they can't say anything or suggest something, whereas like in situations I've been in before, that's not been the case. It's like you're not met with the response that you were hoping for, whereas everybody's so incredibly open-minded and eager to hear what everyone has to say. I think that's lovely.
So I feel like a good kind of question to sort of speaking of full circle. I think I can't remember exactly what the question was I asked you last time, but it was something about like advice to sort of to yourself maybe, but what do you think maybe would be your advice to people in a position that either yourself a year ago, a bit of a cliche question, but like or anyone that's in that position where maybe they're kind of, it almost seemed like you were sort of so close but yet so far, if you know what I mean, in terms of like what that's just me, the impression I was getting from how you were kind of describing where you were at. What do you think would be your advice to either yourself or just someone in that place?
I remember what I said last time as well. I think I was like, just do it. Like that was kind of like
Shia
what
LaBeouf
I think
approach.
I'd say. And this time I would say just not just do it, but just like keep chasing it until it's in the place that you want it to be. And then make it happen, kind of thing. Like go out and get what you want. Oh my God, like make it how you want. Work with the people that you've dreamt of working with, like if you can. Just turn it into the best experience you can for you, like and really enjoy it as well, because there are so many times and situations where people find themselves in bands or whatever, like a job, like it could be anything, a friendship, a relationship, where they end up settling for less to please other people. But especially with something like music, it's so personal, like it needs to be how you want it to be. So go out and like execute your vision and don't do it until you're like happy with it. Yeah, I think that's kind of what I would say.
Yeah, that's a good kind of not letting the sort of bullshit of day-to-day expectations and all that kind of get in the way. I know that's definitely something I've been more conscious of, just like working on me to improve my musicality, you know, like you're saying, just relaxing and being comfortable, like with, you know, when you sit down with the instrument, not having a million thoughts about like, is what I write in the next hour going to be good enough? You know, is it going to be what I want to put out? There's a million things you can be worried about before you even start playing. So I think getting your head straight, I can definitely resonate with that. Trying to just get your head straight before you even start, you know, maybe not before you start, but at least along the way. You know?
And maybe don't put so much pressure on such a thing that's so creative and like, oh my God, it's so easily impacted by everything. I kind of see it in the sense of like, you run, did you say? Like you
well,
run
yeah,
every day?
as of recently. Yeah.
Oh, okay, fair enough.
Yeah.
Like, I'm a bit of a gym bunny. I don't even like that term, but yeah, I go to the gym a lot, and it's very much so a part of my routine and life. And sometimes you go to the gym and you have an awful session, and it's very easy to be like, that was terrible. Ugh. But progress is not linear, and sometimes there are going to be days that are hard like this. Some songs are going to write themselves, and other songs you're going to do 50 versions of before you get to a place that you're even remotely happy with. So I think you have to be mindful of that and not beat yourself up, because actually it will make it worse. If you just criticize yourself and you're like, that's terrible, less of that, like get rid of the positive, negative, or just get rid of the negative kind of judgmental side of yourself if you can when you're writing, and just see it more open-mindedly. Like, I write stuff all the time, doesn't necessarily mean anything is going to come of it, and you know, I think you latch onto the ones where you're like, this has the most potential, I'm gonna go and develop this, but don't put any pressure on yourself. Like I said, the when I was putting pressure on myself to write in a style that I thought my following would enjoy, everything I wrote I hated. I thought it was terrible. I was really unhappy. It wasn't inventive. It was regurgitated. It'd been heard before. And then the minute I kind of like stopped trying so hard, I actually got somewhere with it. So just go in with an open mind and enjoy it.
Yeah, I definitely know what you mean. With the, like, joking aside, with the running, I know if I make myself, if I just said like, whatever happens, I'm going to run X distance or X speed every day, I know I get bored in like 2 weeks. Whereas I just say, I'm just going to like put my shoes on, I'm just going to go. The only rule I've sort of weirdly set myself is every time I go, I could just run a bit less. That for me is my rule for like, no, well, you've set it in stone, you're running further now, kind of thing. And I try and do the same with guitar, where I'm like, because, you know, when it gets tough, it's very easy. It sounds very cliche, doesn't it? It's very easy to like just go, I guess I'll just have a break. But actually, sometimes you're only 10 minutes away from like getting that idea out. So I think it's a different thing, isn't it? But yeah, that's cool. I think we've covered a good range of stuff. I can even see the weather changing through the conversation.
Really? Outside, I've got my blinds closed, so I don't know what's happening. Mine
are just about. I mean, it wouldn't make any difference with how grey it is outside. So if I could get your question for the next guest to set them up, that'd be lovely.
Oh my God, I actually had a really great one when we started, and I actually can't remember.
You can stop the recording and go back.
No. I think I'm just going to be really cliche. Can it be an open-ended question? Like,
yeah, whatever.
Okay, cool. Like, what's your favorite chocolate?
That's a good one. I really like Yorkies. I had one recently.
Yorkies.
Yeah, I had one recently, and I was like, wow. Why haven't I had that in a while?
Do you know what? I used to believe that women were genuinely not allowed to eat them because they've got the
advert. Yeah, they got in trouble, didn't they? Yeah,
Did they?
Oh yeah, they don't do that anymore. Yeah, it's just like,
oh my God. Well, as a child, I fucking believed it, didn't I? And I was like, I can't have that. It's not meant for my kind.
Yeah.
But yeah, as a vegan, I don't get to eat that now anyway, unfortunately. But
yeah, you're somewhat limited, I feel, on. Is vegan chocolate any good?
Oh, they've come a long, long way. Okay. If it wasn't, then I might, no, I'm joking. Like chocolate, I fucking love it. Not gonna lie, I eat a lot of chocolate. But like their Ben and Jerry's options, amazing. Like come such a long way. You got a lot of Galaxy, Lindt do a lot of chocolate. The only thing that I'm like, oh, for God's sake, why the hell is there no vegan alternative for this yet? Is Maltesers.
Oh, they're good.
I'm gonna need a vegan alternative of that at some point because I used to eat like a whole box in one go. So if they can just figure that out, I just, that'd be great. I'd appreciate it a lot.
Malteser, I was sad because I swear they got rid of the one in the celebrations, the Malteser thing.
Oh, they were so good.
And that was like one of the best ones. I really like Bounty as well, which is controversial.
Oh no, sorry, I can't get behind that.
Yeah, I just don't know.
Coconut lit.
Oh, it's good, yeah. Although I was went up Mount Snowdon with a friend the other day, and I've got a Yorkie bar. Well, I had a bit more food than just that, but I thought I'd take some food just to be. And I was, when you're like extra busy, because we went up quite a steep route, I think, and I got halfway up or so, and I was like, I'm just gonna have a chocolate bar just to fuel myself up, and I was just not in like eating mode. And I had one bite, really? I just had to spit it out. I was like, gross, not having that here.
Really?
Yeah. So I don't know
when.
Hell? Yeah. Probably altitude sickness from the 400 meters I went up.
Oh well, like I think there's always time for chocolate in my life.
Yeah, well, yeah, I suppose, yeah. I think I had some at the top. It was about the coldest I've been in a long time up there. That was.
Oh my god, yeah, it's so cold at the moment. Again, what the hell? I can't even imagine.
Yeah, me and my friend decided, February's a good month to go up. So.
Oh, how long did it take you? Like all day, or?
No, it was about 2 hours to get up, and then however long to get down. I don't know how long it took us to get down. There was just we were about halfway up, and there was just some random girl just like stood there, and we kind of walked past like, I guess she's all right. Like she was just kind of walking around looking a bit just bored, and I was like, what are you?
Oh my god, are you waiting for someone?
Yeah, and then we got like a few hundred meters higher, and then these guys were like, have you seen a girl waiting down there? We're like, yeah, and she obviously just sort of gave up a certain portion of the way up.
Oh wow.
But I don't know if they went all the way to the top. I hope not, because she would have been there a long time if not.
Yeah, Jesus. Yeah. I mean, yeah. Is it far for you? Is that far for you to get? I'm trying to place your accent basically.
Oh, my accent is not where I'm from. I'm in. So hang on, okay, so let's get because otherwise people are going to be wondering why I'm rambling about Birmingham, which is where I am. Yeah. So I need an artist from you as well. An artist pick.
Hold on, I need to like think of this. Who at the moment? Can it be like anyone?
Yeah, whatever. Doesn't even have to be a musician, but I mean,
an artist pick. What, as in like go and check out this person?
Yeah.
I'm gonna shout out my best friend then. Her name, she goes by Ren.
Cool.
And you can go and check out her latest single, Rabbit Hole. Cool. Yeah, she's a very talented being, and I like what she does a lot. So yeah, go check her out.
Nice. It's I know there's stuff you want to plug, so you feel free to plug away.
Yeah, I mean, go and check out my new band BXRRELL and our new first single Dare To. And I really hope that you guys enjoy it. Watch this space. Follow us on all social media because we've got so much coming, and you don't want to miss it. Yeah.
I feel like it answered the Burrell or Burrell question as well.
It's BXRRELL. Yeah. The name is like, it's kind of not a joke. Like it's my name, but the X in it. Me and Sped used to always argue whether it was BXRRELL or Burrell. I used to always say it's Burrell. Half of my family says it one way and then half of my family says it the other, and he was like, no, it's BXRRELL. So he thought, cross out the U, ba or b, so if it's not there it's just BXRRELL. Like it was kind of just like kind of a nod to our discussion about that. And the X is just like, don't say that bit, basically. It's just BXRRELL.
Nice. Good. Yeah. It's a good origin story. Yeah. Nice one. Well, thank you very much. I've enjoyed chatting. Awesome.
Thank you for having me.